Welcome back to Fireside Giants. My name is Anthony Rivardo, and I'm coming back to give you guys a film breakdown, solo film breakdown. Today, we're breaking down Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. Solid, talented edge rusher prospect in this 2021 NFL draft class that's been connected to the Giants quite a bit recently. Apparently, the Giants are very interested in him, and I'm interested in him too. I think he's a very solid prospect. I absolutely think he's deserving of the first round billing that he's getting. Is he worthy of the number 11 overall pick? Now, that's definitely a debate that we need to have because it sounds like the Giants are having that debate themselves. Sounds like the Giants are definitely interested in taking him in the first round, whether that's at 11 or in a trade down scenario. But, he's a really interesting prospect. There's a lot to like here. He's not perfect. No prospect is. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think as well. So let's just get into the film and discuss it in the comment section. Before we get started, I want to point something out. I'm wearing a really, really cool Kenny Galladay, New York Giants t-shirt. The link is in the description. Go check it out. Go check out all the merch that we have. It's really awesome, super comfortable too, so go check it out. But now let's get into the film. Right off the bat, you'll notice here Azeez is lined up on the right side of the defensive line, standing up as an outside linebacker, playing that true edge rusher role that you would play in a 3-4 defense, right? Now, that's important to note because a lot of the edge rushers in this class don't have the experience standing up and playing, standing up on the edge. A lot of them have their hands in the dirt playing out of 4-point stance, 3-point stance. Now you see Azeez right here in a 2-point stance. You're going to see him in a 4-point stance quite a bit as well in this film, and a 3-point stance as well, having his hand or hands in the dirt. But on this play, you're going to see him standing up off the edge, and I think that's important to note. As the Giants, traditionally, their base defense is a 3-4. They like to have their outside linebackers rush off the edge in that 2-point stance. So this is really important. Definitely something you want to take note of with Azeez. He has that, versatility to do both. He can stand up. He can have his hand in the ground. But on this play, there's going to be a key takeaway. Now, he's not going to get a sack here, but he is going to get a pressure. So you're going to see he kind of gets a free run to the quarterback, kind of goes unblocked. He kind of gets through a little mess, but for the most part, he's unblocked here. There's some sort of miscommunication amongst the offensive linemen, and they just kind of let Azeez go into the backfield free range. And he shouldn't have been able to do that, but he did. But here's what's important to note. As soon as he clears the offensive lineman, as he has at this point, watch this closing speed and how quickly he bursts into Mac Jones. He just puts on the jets and runs through Mac Jones, absolutely obliterates him, leads to an interception right there. Now, that's another discussion that needs to be had with a lot of edge rushers in this class, right? So, and a lot of edge rushers in general. Are pressures valuable, right? Pressures are very valuable for plays like this. They don't always result in sacks, and that's definitely a knock on some of the edge rushers in this class. Jason Owe being another one, for example. He had 0 sacks this past season, but he had a lot of pressures, right? How important are pressures? Do you have to get those sack numbers up? Pressures at times can be very important, just as valuable as a sack, and in some cases even more, because the pressure here gets to Mac Jones, forces him to make a terrible throw. It floats up in the air and it becomes an interception. That didn't happen without the Azeez Ojulari pressure. So what I note here, though, from this pressure, what I take away and say, oh, that's what makes Azeez Ojulari good. Look at this athleticism, look at the speed, the closing speed in particular, the way he accelerates, then bursts through and just clocks Mac Jones. That athleticism is really rare, and that's really nice to see when you're talking about a speed rusher off the edge. Now we're going to get into a more technical clip here, right? So again, you're going to see him hands in the dirt, 4-point stance here, lined up over number 70, the offensive tackle on the left side, the left tackle. He's lined up at that 5 tech position with both hands in the dirt. This play is beautiful. It's, again, a pressure, I believe, and then I think this ends up being an incompletion. Not a sack here, again, but a great pressure, and you're going to see a really nice translatable skill set that'll translate to the NFL level here. So I'll let it run through. You're going to see, there you go. Really, really nice pass rush move there. Now, we'll get into a discussion about his pass rush moves in just a little bit here, but I want to point out this beautiful pass rush moves. First of all, as the play begins, let's see the get off. All right, great burst. But then as he engages with the offensive lineman, he's got a really nice pass rush move here. So he takes his left hand, his inside hand, he's going to place it right on the left tackle's chest. Now, that gives him control. That gives him the ability to control the offensive tackle. When you have their chest, as a pass rusher, you have control. As an offensive lineman, the number one thing you can't do is give up control of your chest, because then you're done. They can do whatever they want with you as long as they have solid pass rush moves. So he gets control of the chest with the left hand. Then with that outside arm, that right hand, he cross chops down on the offensive tackle's arm and creates a free rush to the quarterback. And then as well, if you see there, right at the tail end of it, he kind of does this jump cross. He crosses it and chops. Now, I want to point that out. So he chops, but then when he disengages from that, he's got him beat. He's got the offensive tackle beat. Now it's about getting to the quarterback and not getting pushed past the pocket. So that's where bend comes into play. Being a bendy, flexible edge rusher who can run, bend down, but keep that speed so you don't lose your balance and can still get to the quarterback in a timely manner. You're going to see really nice bend here and balance as he gets to Mac Jones and whacks him in the back once again. So, or doesn't really whack him. That time he kind of just touches him. But you do see the bend, you do see the balance and flexibility. That's something that'll be really translatable, and we'll see that turn into a sack later on in this video clip. But I got to point that out. That pass rush move is nasty. It's a really, really beautiful move. It's using both hands, and you just love to see that chop there, and it's a really nice speed rush move as well. Now, again, on this next play, this is going to be a sack. This is against Mississippi State. Once again, he's lined up over the left tackle, so he's on the right side of your screen this time. Again, in that 4-point stance, hand in the dirt, playing 5-tech as an edge rusher. All right, so really nice, clean get-off, and then what does he do? Again, a nice chop, a nice cross chop. He gets one hand, and then he chops with the other one. So let's take another look at that. Let's break this play down just a little bit further. Now let's see what goes wrong for the offensive tackle, what goes right for Azeez. All right, so good get-off, starts gaining the ground, and then, of course, you see him get that left hand right on the offensive tackle's chest. Now, this is really key that this is a consistent theme. He's getting that hand on that chest. That's the number one thing. If you look on the other side of the offensive line, look at number 19 for Georgia. He doesn't even have any engagement with this offensive tackle yet. His hands are not even touching him. So when you're talking about a quick get-off and quick to engage, first to engage, actually, more importantly, first to engage. Azeez is typically always the first to engage when he's having these battles with offensive tackles, and that's really important because when you're a pass rusher, you have to have a quick get-off, but what's a quick get-off if your hands aren't quick enough to get up there and engage with the offensive tackle? Azeez has quick hands. He has a quick get-off, so he fires out of his stance and then gets his hands on the offensive lineman, gains control, and then he's got some solid pass rush moves to break free of the offensive lineman and get open and get to the quarterback. So again, he's got the control right here. You see that, and then he's going to take that outside arm and just chop those offensive linemen's arms away. So he's going to do that again here, and it's going to result into a sack. Real nice stuff, and then again, great closing speed. Now this play is a little bit different. So we're not going to see that chop move. We're not going to see that technical hand fighting. He's got great hand usage. That's the number one thing I got to say, all right? So before we get any further, actually, let me just say my top strengths for him. I should have said this earlier. My top strengths for Azeez, the burst/bend off the edge, which we've pretty much well established, but we're going to establish that even more on this play. The hand moves, especially that chop, he's got really good hands, and then his speed and athleticism, which pops off the screen every single play. But on this play, I want to point out the burst, the bend off the edge, because what he's going to do here is he's going to get a sack, but it's not going to be because of a cross chop. It's not going to be a hand move that gets him free. It's going to be a straight speed rush, a bend, a dip, and rip, all right? This is a dip and a rip. You got to have a really good balance on this pass rush move. So let's see this. And then look at him dip, and then he rips away, and he creates a fumble. He gets a sack fumble there. But that dip, that's what I'm really going to key in on. Again, you're going to see him in the 2-point stance here. No hands in the dirt. He's standing up as an edge rusher, playing this 3-4 style linebacker role, right? So I love to see that. I think when you're talking about, as a New York Giants fan, when you're talking about does he translate to the Giants well? Does he fit their scheme? Absolutely, because he can stand up and make plays like this as a stand-up edge rusher in a 3-4 defense. So need a second to breathe. Let's see this play one more time. You're going to see really clean get-off, actually really fast get-off. His burst, off the line of scrimmage is incredible. And then that bend, that dip, and then you're going to see he takes this left arm, he rips it away, and he gets to the quarterback. But it's this dip, and I'm going to pause it there so you could see it. So right here, he gets really, really low. See that? See how low he gets? He's squatting. Now, he gets so low that he actually ends up falling to the floor, but he's really keeps himself in control, keeps the balance, puts that hand in the dirt, gets up, and he's already so far past the offensive tackle that the offensive tackle can't put him into the dirt. Because that's oftentimes when edge rushers try to bend around the edge, and then they end up slipping, and the offensive tackle just puts them down into the dirt, lays on top of them. He's so fast and so slippery, he got past the offensive tackle and then kind of bent around the edge, and that's really impressive to see. But going forward here, when we take a look at this play, I'm going to just take it again. when we discuss edge rushers, right, speed rushers off the edge, because this is a guy who's more finesse than power, right? He's got some decent power to his strength, but that's not his top strength. That's not what he plays to. He plays to his speed and his speed rush ability and his finesse ability, right? So of course he's got the power on those cross chops, but he's a speed rusher. But he's not just a speed rusher, and we're going to get into that as well. But when you're talking about the speed off the edge, anytime, every year, every year we look at the top edge rushers of the class, and you hear every draft analyst say, can they bend around the edge? That's the number one thing that they look for. And when they say that, they oftentimes say, with Nick Bosa, for example, when he was coming out in 2018, what separated him with his bend, right? Because people said that he could bend over, be completely squatted and bent over, and run full speed underneath the table. You're kind of seeing that in this clip here with Azeez Ojulari. I'm not saying he has the same bend, and he's not Nick Bosa, but barely anybody is Nick Bosa. That dude was as surefire of an edge rusher as possible coming out of school. He was dominant. But when you're talking about that bend underneath the table, run full speed, I'm seeing it on this play, and I think that's really important to note. That's a really key trait for edge rushers translated into the NFL game. Now on this next play, so those were all the pass rushing positive plays that I have. Of course, we like to be really unbiased, so I'm actually going to show some negatives later on, but this is going to be more what he can do outside of pass rushing, because he's not just a pass rusher. Azeez Ojulari actually does some pretty good things in coverage, and every now and then pops up in the running game. So on this play, what you're going to see is really good football awareness. So let me point him out to you, make sure that you see where he is. Once again, 2-point stance lined up over the left tackle. He's standing up over the left tackle, so he's on the right side of the defensive line if you're looking from the defense's perspective. All right, so you're going to see here he stands up, starts rushing. Notice here he starts to throttle back. He doesn't continue rushing. He sees the running back begin to run a route. He recognizes that and takes him. He knew on this blitz that they were running with that linebacker, as you just saw, rush through the A-gap. He saw that there was a running back about to run a route and knew he would have been unguarded. Nobody manned up on him. Abandons the rush, plays a little bit of man coverage, and does a good job locking him down. Just sticks to his hip. Now, of course, pass goes elsewhere and ends up being a pretty good game. But really nice awareness here, high IQ, and pretty decent man coverage for a guy whose primary role is just to be a speed rusher. And I think on this next play, yep. So you saw the arrow pointing him out. He's over the left tackle again, 2-point stance, standing up as an edge rusher. And this is where when you're standing up as an edge rusher in a 3-4 defense and you're playing outside linebacker, right? Because on this play, he's going to drop back into coverage like most outside linebackers would do in a 4-3. He's going to drop into coverage and play the flat. The offense is left flat, the defense is right flat, okay? And so he does a really, really good job here. So he runs over there, starts playing the flat. Keeps that receiver's curl route from being open, so that's good. He had pretty good spatial awareness, knew to get a little bit deeper because there was a receiver behind him. But what happens here is Mac Jones takes off, and if this is a more athletic quarterback, I'm sure they gain more yardage, but Mac's pretty slow, gets out of the pocket, starts to rush and look for an angle. Azeez notices that, breaks it down, crashes down to the line of scrimmage, and does a really good job now batting the football away. So Mac Jones does get the pass off, but Azeez has a really good awareness. Again, I think he's a very smart, high IQ player. Really good awareness, gets his hands up, bats the ball down, incompletion. I really like to see that. All right, and again on this next play, so you're going to see him once again. Really, really smart player. Azeez is a very smart edge rusher, okay? So this time he's in that 4-point stance, okay? So he's got both hands on the ground. He's playing edge rushers lined up over 70, right? So you're right side of your screen playing defensive line 5 tech. All right, so going to fire out of his stance, but not really. He sees this running back. It's kind of a play action. The running back is coming across the formation. So he starts to prepare for a run defense, prepares to set the edge. And then he sees the running back continue to go, so he does set the edge, but not to defend the run, to defend the swing pass. He recognizes it. He reads this. This is all a read. Azeez reads this play that the offense is running, sets the edge, gets his hand up, bats this pass down, prevents a completion, easy completion in the flat to the running back. Really great, smart play there, setting the edge. Like to see it. I'm going to let the clip roll through on the next one. All right, so this is, again, more than just a speed rusher. This is a really solid run defense play. Now, and I have 2 of those in here, actually. So he's not – when I think of Azeez, I think of a speed rusher. I think of an edge rusher. Okay, so now I'll say, do I think of him as a great run defender? No, not by any means. Do I think of him as a poor run defender? Again, not by any means. I think he's more than average. I think he's about average. I think his biggest weakness is he's kind of undersized just a little bit. He's not the tallest guy, and he does have some length limitations. And he also has a slight lack of strength. He's not the strongest guy, but that's why he's so fast and so quick and so bendy around the edge, because he's not this big, beefy, strong dude, right? So, but sometimes he does contribute really well in the running game. He sets the edge really well. He's smart, so he knows how to set the edge. But also, I don't think that he's a liability in the running game by any means. I don't think his play strength is necessarily super high, but I don't think it's super weak either. And I think on this play, you're going to see really good strength. And so I think he's a good enough run defender. If I had to give him a grade, which I actually did, I give his run defending grade about a 7. I'd say his pass rushing is a 9 on his scale. He's a 7 in the run defense. I think he's about average as a run defender. That's what I would say, 70 C, right? Average run defender. And I think you're going to see on a play like this where he's got the tools to be a pretty solid run defender. So, all right. You got pulling guard, or is that pulling tackle across the formation? Pulling guard across the formation. Now, it's a big dude. Number 55 is a big dude. It's a guard, offensive lineman. Azeez recognizes it, gets really down, gets low, gains leverage by getting so low, which is something that defensive tackles have to do pretty frequently on the interior. You have to get low to gain your leverage. Azeez does that, gets really, really low. Look at that. That's actually incredible and has some pretty solid strength there to stand up that offensive guard. Then attacks, makes a nice trip-up tackle on the running back. Really solid job setting the edge now, and that's what he does really well. Again, on this play, he's going to set the edge. All right, so this is like a 3rd or 4th and 1. They're going to get a huge stop here, and it's going to be Azeez. He's going to make the play. So they're going to run it to the left side of the line. He's standing up there in the 2-point stance. He's standing up over that swing tackle, I believe that is. I believe that's a swing tackle right there. He's standing up over that, so you're going to see what happens. They got 3 running backs in the backfield, or 3 backs in the backfield, 2 fullbacks. I think one of those is even an offensive lineman. Super heavy package here by Tennessee. Really interesting offensive package. But I'll let the play run through. You can see what Azeez does. Pretty much he turns into a bulldozer all of a sudden, which again is surprising because he's not necessarily the strongest guy. But I want to say I don't think people give him enough credit for his strength, not enough credit for his run defending. I think it's better than people give him credit for. So on this play, you're going to see that swing tackle. He gains that leverage. Look at how low Azeez is here. Gets really low, puts that shoulder into him, and puts that swing tackle into the dirt before popping back up and then meeting the running back in the hole and just standing him up and throwing him backwards. It's a hell of a play. It's a really, really impressive play. Run defending play. Great run stop here. And again, the guy knows how to set the edge. He's smart. He reads the offense. And I think he's got a really good feel for leverage. Maybe he's not the strongest guy, but he's really good with his leverage, and I think that's an important note to take away. So on this next play, this one was actually supposed to be earlier on in the video. This was supposed to be with his pass rushing clips, my mistake. But again, you're going to see him lined up, 4-point stance, over 64, the left tackle, left side of your screen playing 5-tech. All right, so again, fires out of the stance. I really like the get off here. This one was really quick. And then again, you see that cross chop. This time he gets held. That was a clear holding. That was a penalty by the offensive lineman. You see the flag get thrown. So he gets held here, but it's a really nice pass rush move. Does pressure the quarterback, or at least would have if he didn't get held. All right, so now we're going to move on to kind of the weaknesses, kind of the negatives with Azeez Ojulari because, like I said, not a perfect prospect. Really like him as a pass rusher, but he's got some areas to improve on. He will once he gets to the NFL. So, again, he's kind of covered up here. Alabama's offense is in a bunch formation. The tight end is covering him up there. So he's right behind number 87. Again, hand in the dirt, lined up over the left tackle, number 70. So you're going to see him fire out of the stance here. Does get that left arm, gets that control. Now does this jump move, right? This jump chop cross, or a cross chop. He does it, but this is later on in the game. The offensive tackle is prepared for it, right? So he kind of gets shut down there. This is the thing with Azeez. He does have that one really good pass rush move, and he does have really good hand usage, but he doesn't have an array of pass rush moves. He kind of sticks to this one move that works really well for him, but he doesn't really have any counters, and he doesn't really have any other go-to moves. He's got the speed rush. He's got the bend. He's got the dip and rip. That one he pulls out pretty frequently as well. But other than the dip and rip and this cross chop, there really isn't much else. You know, he doesn't have any bull rush moves. He doesn't have any swim moves. It's really just this these two moves. That's what he has. And he doesn't have many counters. Once he gets locked down once, that's pretty much it. He doesn't have any, grip and rips. He doesn't have anything like that. So when we talk about, an NFL ready edge rusher prospect, we talk about an array of pass rush moves. You talk about a guy like Jalen Phillips, who has a lot of moves in his bag, a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Azeez doesn't really have that. This is the number one thing that he absolutely needs to improve on. He needs more pass rush moves. He's got a really good one, sticks to it, but you can't go to the same well every single play. Like you can't, once you go to that well too many times, you're going to get dry. So, and this is a play where he got dry, and I think we're going to see another one as well. Right, same move. It's a good move, but it doesn't work every single time. And it's kind of the only one that he has. So he needs to be a little bit more consistent. And I'm not sure which play this is. All right, yeah, this one was supposed to go before those two pass rushing moves that I just discussed. This was one where, earlier I mentioned the lack of strength. Sometimes he does get bullied in the running game. This is a play where it kind of happens. So again, he's lined up on the left side over the left tackle. He gets engaged here by the left tackle first, and the guard double teams with the left tackle, and they end up driving him all the way to the dirt in the end zone, which is about 5 yards back. So not the prettiest play, and it just shows kind of a fundamental lack of size and strength, but that doesn't show up on the tape as frequently as you would fear it to, right? Like it doesn't happen that often. It happens, but it's not a huge deal. I really like his traits here. I think that there's a lot to work with Azeez Ojulari. Now, I know a lot of Giants fans are afraid of Azeez Ojulari because originally he's been mocked as a mid-20s, draft pick. Now you're thinking, the Giants have the 11th pick. Are they really about to reach for need and reach on a guy like Azeez Ojulari? I don't think it's the biggest reach. For me personally, how I grade him, he's worthy of a top 15 to 20 pick. So if you're taking him from a top 10 to 15 pick, I don't think it's that big of a reach. I think he's around the top 15, 17 player in this class. Like he's pretty much deserving of that number 11 pick if you need to reach for need. Now, the Giants don't necessarily need to. You guys know how I feel about guys like Micah Parsons and some offensive linemen, Rashawn Slater. There's a lot of talented players that are going to be on the board for the Giants at 11. Are they really going to pass on that for a guy just to fill a need? I don't know. I guess we'll see. But I want to say this, cautionary tale. Giants fans, we never want to see our team reach. Then when they do and the player is good, we're all happy about it. We've seen this happen before. Daniel Jones is probably our prime example. When you're saying you don't want them to reach on an edge rusher, it might not be a reach. This guy is really talented. I think a lot of people are too low on him just because of the draft projection and just because we know what we could get with a number 11 overall pick. We could get a Micah Parsons. We could get a Jalen Waddle, a Devontae Smith, even a Kyle Pitts in a dream scenario, right? This is what we know we could get. So a lot of Giants fans don't want to get a guy like Azeez Ojulari, even though, me personally, I believe Azeez is a really good player. He is a very, very good football player. Azeez Ojulari has a lot of great pass rushing traits. That speed off the edge, that dip and rip, that cross chop move, consistency with engaging first on the offensive tackles, like getting control. Like he's got a lot of really good moves. He's very athletic, good pass rusher. Now, top strengths, like I said, burst/bend off the edge, hand moves, that chop, speed and athleticism. Those are his top strengths. His top weaknesses, his lack of size and length could create some limitations. Sometimes there's a lack of strength. He also does have some pretty limited experience from what I've read. Might as well throw that out there as well. But yeah, those strengths definitely outweigh the weaknesses. Again, the Giants fans who are afraid that he's going to be too much like Leonard Floyd, I don't necessarily see that. I think that this guy can really do a lot. I think he's pretty good in coverage. I think he's pretty good against the run. He's about average. He's good enough. And I think that he's got a pretty solid, pass rushing repertoire. He's got that really good pass rush move that he uses a lot. And he's got another move as well, the dip and rip. Doesn't have an array of moves, but he can work on that, get him some good coaching, get him with Coach Chaos, Sean Spencer. I think that this kid can be really special at the next level. Maybe he's not worthy of a top 10, 11 overall pick. Maybe not. But he is a really good player that is absolutely deserving of going in the first round, absolutely deserving of going in the top 20, in my opinion. And I think the Giants fans, you might get a little frustrated if he's a pick at 11. Cautionary tale. Don't get too hung up on it. I think that we're going to be pretty happy with him by the end of his rookie season, absolutely by his second season as well, once he starts to really develop and grow as an edge rusher in the NFL. So with that being said, that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you guys. I think I did a really good job rounding all the bases. We discussed him as a pass rusher, discussed him as an outside linebacker in coverage, discussed him in run support, went over his top strengths, showed you his top weaknesses. We broke all that down. Very happy with the way that this video turned out. Hope you guys are as well. I hope you all thoroughly enjoyed and sat through this whole thing, 25 minutes. Thank you to all who made it to the end. Be sure to give this video a like if you did enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And all of our subscribers, please ring the bell. Get notified when we're posting and when we're going live on live streams. And we are doing another live stream soon. I know you guys have been asking us. We are going to do another live stream soon. We're going to be live for the NFL draft, giving our instant analysis and reactions to every single pick. Going to be doing that during finals week. Don't care. Didn't ask. Let's go Giants. I'm excited for the draft, as we all are. Can't wait for that. And yeah, we're going to do a live stream before that as well. So stay tuned. We have a lot of great content on the way. You know, we're hitting you with the daily elite content videos. We're going to continue to do that. I can't wait to keep grinding out the content for you guys as we enter the summer, leading up to the draft, further on, all the way through. It's going to be really exciting. More interviews on the way as well. So again, leave a like if you enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, and I will catch you guys on the next one.